when an event happens, they find out later on, hey, right before, 9/11 or an earthquake, there was quite a lot of people getting information on the structural integrity of buildings or
the meaningful
right before people wanting to buy Energy Star appliances right before a spike in energy prices.
Yeah, and that does happen. Clif and I, because we read the reports, well, Clif writes them, and I'm privileged to read probably more than actually sees public eye. We're both in squirrel mode right now. So does that mean that our predictions that we're looking at are any more accurate, or we're just particularly paranoid because we look at the grim side of things? But, I mean, we haven't even gotten into the shortages on food, the restrictions on travel, and some of the other things that are implicit in the rest of the data.
And let's go to the caller's question, though. At a core, what we're speaking about is universe speaking to the individual. The universe has spoken to individuals saying, go on out and look for, structural integrity on buildings or whatever. Right. And they don't really know why. And the why, to a certain extent, it may be unimportant for that individual. It may start them off on a trail. I try and very actively pay attention when universe speaks. Usually I'm rather stupid and it has to slap me upside the head a couple of times. But basically I get the message sooner or later. And I for people that are aware of that, that's a huge gift.
Okay, now, do you pick up anything? Because I have a feeling there are a lot of people zoned out right now. They just seem to be brain dead, comatose, zombies. I mean, staying at red lights. They don't move when it turns green.
Sure, I mean, we're picking up all kinds of things relative to energies from space. And humans are much more an antenna for energy than we're willing to admit, and we don't understand the concept of energy beyond the electromagnetic spectra. And it is my supposition that some of the stuff we're picking up in our data is pointing to actual human-affected or effective energies from space that will cause us to be a little bit bizarre in our behavior, probably individually and collectively as things go forward.
Well done. Something's happening. I can feel that.
One of the descriptors, by the way, George, that popped out of Clif's work 6-8 months ago was this fall period, late summer to fall, we would see a sense of unreality or almost a surrealism about life emerging. So there's definitely some kind of a warp going on there.
Okay, next up, wildcard line, your turn. Hi.
Hi, this is Robin calling from Pittsburgh.
Hey, Robin.
And I'm really just sitting here. I'm leading up to my question, but I'm mesmerized by everything he's saying because it's exactly what I've seen, and I see where the 3 earthquakes are going to be, and I would like somebody to get in touch with me later so I can leave him my number and we can compare, because everything he says I've documented and I agree with, and everything's happened. But my one question is, does he see volcanoes erupting at Yellowstone?
We have to be really careful with geographic descriptors, so I have a tendency to avoid those. Just like I have a tendency to disbelieve numbers that percolate up through our programming, I have a tendency to disbelieve geographic specific location pointers because they're so frequently wrong. Because when you get into place names, all you're doing is counting words, and we don't like operating at that level. It is true that we have a number of indicators for volcanoes, but we have nothing specific for a Yellowstone caldera kind of stuff. And most of what we're seeing, to be quite honest, those geographic descriptors that show up most frequently are pointing to the very edge of the Ring of Fire from San Juan Plate down through Ecuador, Peru, and in that area, and then a little tiny bit over from Indonesia north into Japan. And it is our supposition, based on what we're looking at, that the volcanic activity is a prelude to a plate shift. But no, we don't see anything specific for Yellowstone, and if it came up in any quantity, I would instantly suspect it as being a conscious intrusion into our work and would disregard it.
A couple months ago, someone predicted a huge earthquake for Los Angeles right around this time period. Is that person possibly accurate? What do you think?
I think accurate. I don't know about time. That's our big issue is our timing clues are a little vague. Bear in mind that we didn't know it was 4 months out for the force-driven, electric-driven water.
Right.
We just knew we were within our short-term values, which go from 3 weeks out to about 3 months.
So we could say sooner than later.
Correct. I would suspect that we're going to see some kind of seismic event of some significance that will generate some significant level of emotionality before the December solstice on the 21st.
East of the Rockies, your turn. Hi.
Hi, good morning, George and gentlemen. Clif, I would like to suggest a kernel for a paradigm shift that I think would be very, very practical and get to the heart and science of what it is that you've been about and explore something new. Since the early part of 2004, I've been working on some new occupational classifications, paradigm for health, public health, and ecology. In pursuing some morphology and grammar and getting back to groups like the Linguistic Data Consortium at Penn State, I came to a very simple realization with regards to natural language processing. And it revolves around the distinction between prescriptive language and descriptive. Now, most of the natural language is descriptive. And to translate, that means everything goes. That's probably why those in AI and expert systems have a very difficult time in trying to get these guys and gals to hone into a standard, but natural language doesn't want to stay to a standard.
It must
They're not prescriptive.
Correct.
So what I'm going to suggest is that in moving towards a new dynamic for what it is you're about, looking at the prescriptive community and virtually the logical community, let's say the scientific community, but leaving it in the context of natural language and that distinction between prescriptive and descriptive, provide you with a new basis for the information gathering that you've been about.
That's very interesting, but we also have a real serious issue with academia, which dominates all of the prescriptive features of our society, and it's hidebound, peer-reviewed, structured view that does not allow for the anomalies, because we must allow for that evolutionary bleeding edge, and that's what we're attempting to pick up. So we're constantly looking for the anomalies that would be disregarded by academia. Make sense?
I'm sure that mainstream science would look at what you two do and shudder.
Thus the self-described nut job, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why we don't have Suburbans in our front yard.
Wild card line, you're on the air. Hi there.
Hi.
Yeah.
This is Nancy. I'd like to know if your guests see anything going on for the San Fernando Valley, like flooding.
Flooding in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, because it's very low.
Yeah, we actually do have that. We have the loss of much of the area all the way into the Salton Sea, but that's associated with the global coastal event. And since the values for that are still building, we know that we're looking at something that's within our long-term values, and so we think it's out less than 3 years, but we can't say how much less.
Oh, my God. Very deep water?
There's where we get into the comparison between predictive work and what's evidentiary. If you go on out and look at the amount of water that's locked up in glaciers from which everything could come, and you disregard the idea of water from space, which I really don't, but for the moment let's just disregard that, then we have to say that even if Greenland itself goes, the estimates being bandied about are about half of what would actually be, so at least 60 feet in ocean level.
Oh, it's going to go over the mountains.
This could be quite severe. That's why, I'm kind of locked into place myself. I'm not in a position morally or economically to relocate to some high altitude. But we have to bear in mind that the planet is under extreme distress. Humans are not causative agents in this. This can be proven very easily with the mathematics that were developed by Buckminster Fuller in doing his assay of resources back in the 30s. And we can prove that the sun's causing all of our global problems, and it's getting worse. carbon dioxide is way high. We know the militaries of the planet are assuming that the glaciers will melt within 5 years.
See, this is what I think the Mayans knew. When we talk about 2012, I think we're talking about a solar event.
I think you're talking about a process, and it began in 1998 and won't be completed until about 2018.
Yeah, you may be right. And then 2012 puts it almost right in the middle.
Correct.
Right.
That's why we say around here we're half past human, but we're also half past Hunab Ku. The Hunab Ku is the Mayan name for the galactic rift.
Let's go to our first-time caller line. Take it away. Hi there.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
I really like everything that you had to say, and in the language that you have put it in, and very, well put together. I would like to help. I know with some of the numbers you were giving as far as some of the qualified people that you would help to seek out to help with consciousness, collective consciousness for the greater good. I would like to do anything I can that would be helpful.
Well, now he brings up something kind of interesting, and that is, what can an individual do to try to make things better? Assuming what you do is correct, and I think it is, and you tap into this consciousness of so many people, can individuals start to change events with their minds, you think?
That's a really good question, and I hate to have people ask me that because I'm out there floundering on... basically what I tell everybody is, I'm not your guru, okay? I don't know. I'm out there...
But we need you.
I know, but I'm out there as much stumbling in the path as anybody else. But I take comfort from a very old saying that these three things I treasure: love, contentment, and humbleness. I treasure love because only those who are loving can be courageous. I treasure contentment because only those who are content can be magnanimous. And I treasure humbleness because only those who are humble have a true authority and command. This is from Lao Tzu. And it is true. And if you keep that kind of stuff in mind and go to your spiritual center, how can you go wrong?
You kind of remind me of The Wizard of Oz, because I bet if we pull the old curtain back, we'd see you there with some old IBM computer.
You would not want to see me.
Some old IBM computer spitting out the basically descriptors and predictors of the planet on this little computer.
Well, it's almost that bad. My computer is dying. It's so old, and I had to order a replacement.
They do change quickly, don't they?
Yes.
Commodore 64, George.
Okay, the website's halfpasthuman.com for you, Clif, and for you, George, it is urbansurvival.com, two different websites. I want to thank both of you for being on the program.
Anytime.
Our pleasure.
All right, you both of you take care. And again, we'll be back again tomorrow with our special guest, Paul Smith, as we look at some incredible new breakthroughs with ESP. And for all of you, I want to thank you for participating in our July 4th special program. And as I've always said, if a holiday falls on a scheduled work day, we'll be here for you, your family, and that's what it's all about. For Dan Galante, Wayne Roberts, Steve Carr, Tom Danheiser, Gina Salvati, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesor, Ross Mitchell, Alan Corbett, Stephanie Smithy, and Punit and Art Bell, I'm George Norrie, somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone.